Hello everybody and welcome to the Board Game Guide, the show where a person who can't explain things well shows you how to play board games. I'm your host Naffy Napkin and I will be your board game bellwether. This is NETRUNNER. I made that intro as if I'm doing this video more than once, like a series, and I might since I'm really getting into board games. Sure, you'll find guides online, but I want to show you how a game is played, because whenever I find a how to play video, I immediately get confused on what I do in practice or what I actually do on my turn, so I made whatever this is. Also, yeah, I'm making this for my friends so I don't have to re-explain when we meet IRL is gone out the window in a lot of ways, especially the fact that I'm moving to the opposite side of this island, Java. However, I'll try to find online counterparts of the games I'll be talking about that NETRUNNER does, so... Also, the online version is better because I only have so many physical cards, while online it has the entire database of cards to play with, but I'm not here to discuss the online versus offline debate. Or am I? That's right, we're talking NETRUNNER, the cyberpunk Magic the Gathering. I haven't played Magic the Gathering, but anyways, NETRUNNER conceptually and the rules on how to play are well defined and simple. I say this because I've heard personal complaints from my friends about the pandemic video, and that it was really confusing and or boring. The latter I can't fix, but the former I have a proposition, or just something to comment on. I say when it comes to understanding a game, there's two levels. It's theory and practice. You might know what the rules and what the cards do after hearing it, but in practice you don't know what to do with them. Basically, there's a base level of conceptual understanding, then after playing, there's the high level strategizing on what to actually do with the cards you're dealt with to achieve the goal. Most guides I see only explain the first section or the theory. What I'll do is implement the practice section by actually showing gameplay and situations a new player might be in. Alright, cool, let's start what the game is about. Concept. There are two players, the corporations and the runners, or the hackers. The way to win is by scoring or stealing special agenda cards only the core has access to in this deck, and the runner has to try and steal them. They both only need 7 agenda points to win. This only has 2. The way the core scores agendas is by protecting these agendas behind walls of ice. So this is a remote server. I'll explain what those are. This is just what an ice looks like. And has to advance them by a certain amount using money and turns, while the runner has to get through these walls of ice using icebreakers. Core setup, or corp setup I should say. Because there's 2 players in the game with very different gameplay, I'm going to explain them one by one. Going by core first, because I love being a big conglomerate. There's 3 spaces you need to put in front of you. It looks kind of like this. The archives is basically the trash. It's where you discard the card you just used goes to. The R&D is, again, your deck. You grab cards from here. And the HQ is your hand. Besides that, there are servers. You can put assets to use or agendas here to score them. You can put agendas and assets. This is an asset. They do a special thing that it says on here. Just put them here, I guess. And agendas, you want to score these and you can advance them, and I guess I'll explain what that is. Once you put an agenda down or whatever onto your server, you can put a thing called an ice in front of them. They look like these cards. Put them sideways in front of your server. You do this so it's protected from the runner that's trying to hack into it. There's also a place to keep these money thingies. That's the credit pool. Runner setup. It's the same with the corporation, but there's 3 spaces you need to put in front of you: the heap, the stack, and your identity. They act the same way. The heap is the discard pile, the stack is your deck, and the identity is your hand. Besides those cards are your programs, your hardwares, and your resources. Now, differentiating them, I'm having trouble doing that because they're quite similar, and I mean, I've played Runner and I know how to use them, but they're pretty much the same. According to the wiki, programs are runner card types that is installed and grants him various abilities. Resources are runner card types that is installed and grants the runner various benefits. And hardware is the type of card the runner installs in his or her rig for special abilities and effects. So I guess hardware is kind of both programs and resources. It doesn't matter that much. You can just play them and you'll be given the benefit that it says on this kind of card. Just do the thing that it says on the card and put it here and you can do the thing. Programs are stuff like this, like icebreakers. They allow and or give you the ability to get into servers protected with ice, among other things, and other cards help you out in one way or the other. It says on the card. Core gameplay theory. There is a basic concept in the game which I have to explain, and those are clicks. When it is your turn, you have a certain amount of clicks. They're basically currency, but for actions you do, and when your clicks are empty, your turn is done. As a core, you only have 3 clicks and or 3 things to do. As explained in this card, here are all of your basic actions. You can gain 1 money, you can draw a card, you can play an operation, which is a one-time use card, and then there's installing something. Special to the core is advancing cards, which you need to score agendas, and it also takes money. And also trashing resources that runner has for 2 monies, but only when he's tagged. There's special cards that allow you to tag the runner. And purging virus counters. If the runner has a virus on you, you can purge them all to use your entire turn, since you need 3 clicks and you only have 3 clicks to use. One more special thing about the core, at the start of every turn you need to draw a card from R&D, so basically you get a free card if you're a core. Now, runner gameplay theory. Same with the core, you use clicks, but this time you get 4 clicks instead of 3, but you don't pull any cards for free. The basic actions are the same with the core as well. You gain money, draw a card from your deck, play an event, which is a one-time use card, and installing something. But the runner can also do something called run, which is interacting with the core by getting into core cards like archives, R&D, HQ, and these servers. Also, when you're tagged, you can remove a single tag by paying 2 monies and a click. Core card explanation. I'll give a simple rundown of what each part on a card means. On the top it gives the price cost, but they look a bit different for every different type of card. If it's a black circle, you're just paying this amount. If it looks crystally, you're rezzing it, which means you're activating its ability. And if it's a white circle, that's an agenda. That's how much you need to advance and score it. Since I'm here, special to agendas are these hexagonal things. That's how many agenda points are on that card, and you need a total of 7 to win. There are actually a lot of variables you have to keep in mind in play, like credits, costs, clicks, tags, agenda points, and they all have special symbols for each. But they're very situational and they explain themselves and how they interact with things on card descriptions. So basically just don't worry about everything too much. It'll explain itself when it's actually involved. Next to that is the name. Then under that is some cool looking artwork that I love. Then it states what card it is, like operation card, which you can only use once then trash, and a transaction, which is money related stuff. Then this description is the main thing the card does, really the only thing you need to pay attention to, but also don't, because these flavor texts underneath it are great as well. Ice cards look kinda different. They have these arrow symbols, and each arrow is something called a subroutine which a runner has to get through. It just does the thing the subroutine says, unless the runner can break it, which I'll get into later. On top is the res cost again. The side states what the card is, an ice and what type. An important thing to bring up, only certain icebreakers can break certain ice and nothing else. There's only 3 types: barriers, they get broken by fractors, sentries, they get broken by killers, and code gates that get broken by decoders. Besides that, there's the strength down here. An icebreaker's strength has to be equal or higher than this number to break it. Oh yeah, I forgot. Some cards have this trash icon under it. It means that when a runner accesses it, the runner can pay this much to trash it into archives. Runner card explanation. I don't know, man. They're similar to core. Just do the thing it says on the card. There's a few new concepts. This tech-looking thing, compare it to your identity card. You can only have this amount lower than this card total. So if this plus this is over this, you can't. This is the strength thing I was talking about. It's gotta be higher or equal than this number on the ice you're running on. What happens in a run? This is quite important since, the game revolves around the runner hacking into ice. This flowchart does a pretty good job, but basically, here's Tithe the ice and Mayfly the icebreaker. First, are they even compatible? This is a Sentry ice, and this is an AI icebreaker. Because AI is the type that can go through any ice it can, so yeah. Second, compare strength. This is 1 on the bottom corner of this card, and this is 1 as well. So they're equal, and that means it can pass. Third is the subroutines over here. On this card, it says I have to pay for every subroutine I break. So I have to pay 2 for all of these to be broken. They don't have to be broken though. Let's say if you let the corporate get like 1 wealth, you don't have to pay 1 credit, but you don't get net damage since you paid. I might as well explain what damage is. It's your hand basically. If you get damaged, you lose a random card from your HQ or hand, and you will die if you get less than 0 cards in HQ. So yeah, after breaking subroutines or letting them fire, you go across to the next ice to do the cycle over again, or access the server and the run is successful. Ow. You opened this server and you get it, so yeah. Okay, we're pretty much done with the gameplay on how to play section. After that, there's the deck building, and the only thing you need to know if you're a player and you steal decks off online. Here are the 6 different types of factions in Netrunner. 3 of them are runner factions, and 4 of them are core factions, and those are the main ones. There's a few mini factions besides that. Factions determine the kind of play style that you're going to be using, and I'll explain pretty briefly what all of them do. Haas Byroy, that's a core faction, and they basically have incredibly strong ice that the runner just can't get through. Jinteki, they're all about ambushing and tricking your enemies, but they normally have pretty weak ice. NBN, they're all about controlling the media, and they really love tags. Wayland Consortium, they really like money, and they also like doing damage to the opponent. For the runner factions, there's the Anarchs, and they're great at breaking ice, but they're pretty poor. Criminals are pretty much the opposite. They are terrible at breaking ice, but they love money. And they normally try to bypass the ice from even, being rezzed, instead of actually going through ice. Shapers normally have late game cards, and they have to do a lot for their action to actually happen. But when they do, they'll win, because they're pretty powerful. I forgot to mention why I love the game so much. I was never a fan of cyberpunk stuff, so it shows I'm unbiased, but the lore, artwork, and the little touches of flavor text are just glorious. For the artwork, the cores, HQs have huge dystopian megacities on them, and the ice and icebreakers have beautiful abstractions of technology and networks. It all conveys the message of haunting, hostile architecture in them, and I love it. The flavor text accompanying it not only thought-provoking, but also relates to what the card does. Hansei review is about trashing a card from your hand, which in-universe is letting go of unimportant resources for the company. So the flavor text is Constant self-reflection is the key to excellence. We remember failed ideas but do not carry them forward. Okay, I just want to read some of these flavor texts. In Mayfly, the idea is that AI icebreakers can break any type of ice, so compiling even the smallest AI takes weeks for only seconds of runtime, but that brief shining moment allows everything. Howler is an ice that lets the core replace it with bioroid ice, which are generally really powerful, surprising the runner, so the flavor text is an account from a runner saying, "Yeah, it made a loud noise. I got scared and I jacked out, but I still think I made the right choice." Alright, one more. The mega corporations are just so monolithic and omnipresent, it just says, "You work for us. You just don't know it yet." Even when I'm not playing, I just love looking at these cards and seeing how I could relate the artwork and the flavor text to the in-game universe of Netrunner. I genuinely classify these cards as art. Before I wrap up, I'll go into some faction lore because they compress and encapsulate why I love the aesthetic. The NBN are all about controlling the media and making a false reality, which is why they like keeping tags on the runner, like literally. Jinteki develop androids, cloning, and human-like robotic technology, which is why they love trickery and just annoying the runner, which is always fun. And my favorite faction, the Apex Invasive Predator, the runner mini faction. Similar to Anarchs who excel at breaking ice, while they have human motives like political revolution, the Apex is a rogue, destructive AI with no emotion and only has a penchant for destroying things, even itself. So its gameplay style is very sacrificial on your own resources by trashing your own installed cards to do moves. What you have is a Lovecraftian monster who only knows destruction and devastation, consuming everything in its path. So the artwork is abstract swirls of red and black tentacles wrapping its tendrils on its victim. And I'm just gonna be straight, I love this art. That's the end of this video. If this video is longer than 20 minutes, no one will watch it. So the gameplay section is in another video. Play Netrunner because it's cool. Thanks for watching and goodbye.